sales engineering activities associated with supporting opportunities, as well as customer account management. zAgileConnect comes fully functional out of the box. It's quick and easy to install. Assuming your Jira is accessible to Salesforce for bidirectional communication, the installation takes less than an hour in both Jira Cloud and Jira Server environments. It supports many-to-many relationships between cases and issues. And now, of course, now that we have extended the integration to other Salesforce objects, this goes beyond just case and issues. Now you can have many-to-many relationship between objects and issues. And we will show you that in the demo today. Of course, also comments attachment. This is part of the ongoing collaboration between support and other teams in Salesforce and their counterparts in Jira. Collaboration towards resolving whatever it is that has been escalated to Jira. So comment attachment exchange between Salesforce and Jira. And the same exchange via feeds related to other objects that do not have comment object implemented. And we support creating, updating, linking, searching, viewing, and even transitioning Jira issues from Salesforce. And now, as I said before, from other standard and custom objects. Salesforce reports and charts reflecting related Jira issues. So you can do performance assessment and and getting reports and charts that show the progress of issues relative to cases that have been reported. And also, what's more important to our customers as we progress forward is incorporating issue events in Salesforce processes and flows, mostly with the intent of automating a lot of these processes and flows. So everything from if an issue is closed, send notifications to case owner. I mean, those are simple examples. Or now we will also be supporting issue transitions from within Salesforce via API, which basically means if a case is closed, then you can automatically close the issues associated with it, and so on. zAgileConnect integration is, it provides real-time bi-directional updates between Salesforce and Jira. And it's extensible. As I've talked about it before, you can integrate it with custom Apex workflows. We are providing APIs, so it's very easy to incorporate the API within Process Builder, and we'll show you an example of that. And also, I think what's more important is the fact that it's a single package for both Jira Cloud and Jira Server instances, which basically means that the product is evolving in a consistent way, regardless of whether you're using Jira Cloud or Jira Server. And also, we've had a few of our customers that have, over the years, transitioned from one environment to the other. And so this has had no impact to their transition. So now let's talk about some of the features that we will be showing you today. So the first one, and actually the most important one that we've worked on for several months, and we've started to release this year, and for which many of our customers have been anxiously waiting to see, is the integration of other non-case Salesforce objects, standard and custom objects with Jira Issue. So here you'll see, in this example that we'll show you, we have an opportunity object, and then we created a custom object called, let's say, a CSR, like a client service request or a change service request. So what you will see here is an opportunity created a Jira issue, and it's directly linked to this issue, but it's also linked to another issue that was created by a CSR. And the purpose here is to show you the many-to-many relationship, which is somewhat heterogeneous here, because you've got one Salesforce object here that has association now with two Jira issues, one that was created and one that was linked. And then conversely, you will have a Jira issue here that will show you relationship to two different Salesforce objects. So here it's an opportunity it's linked to, and here it's the CSR where that it was created from, okay? So this is really the main focus, or this has been the main focus of our development over the last few months. And we have already released this in 1.10 version for Jira Server and Data Center. So it is available for Jira Server and Data Center customers. And some of our customers have already begun to actually upgrade to this. And then we're also going to be making this available for Jira Cloud. So our 1.11 release, which is expected to be out in Q3, so I would I would estimate somewhere around early to mid-August. 1.11 will support all three, and it will be generally available. So 1.10 is available as a limited release directly from us, because it's only supporting limited Jira environments. 1.11 will be generally available from AppExchange and Atlassian Marketplace for all three Jiras. The other thing that we have released recently in 1.9.2 is support for Lightning. So we'll also show you the UI, but you know, here you've got the classic UI that many customers are familiar with, obviously using it this way. But you know, all of the functions and capabilities that were available in the Salesforce Classic UI have also been ported to Lightning experience. So you will see that in Lightning mode. And finally, zAgileConnect API. This is something we had released last year, and we're continuing to refine it. And this has been very, very important to many of our customers in the context of automating their processes. So what we're going to show you is just a fairly simple example, but it's an illustration. So here, and you know, also it's of course integrating it with a non-case object. So here you have an opportunity that goes into a trial stage, and basically using Process Builder, we automatically create an issue as soon as it enters this state or stage, and we automatically create an issue. We pass, for instance, a project ID and issue type. So we are determining what project and issue type to create the issue in. And the other fields that will be passed to the issue are basically default fields that are mapped, although you can, you know, still use Process Builder to populate the issue however you want. So in this simple example, when the issue goes into this stage, you'll see when the opportunity goes into this stage, you'll see automatically an issue created. And again, the emphasis is on showing you the simplicity with which you can incorporate the API and Process Builder to automate these type of tasks. The other thing also I want to point out is that, you know, the API will allow you to not only create issues, update, or link, but you can also send comments and attachments. And now with 1.11, we will also support or provide API for performing issue transitions. So for, you know, an example of that would be if a case is closed, then you can automatically close related issues. This is something that many of our customers have asked for in the past. So we are going to be delivering that. Okay, so I'm going to now turn to the demo. And I'll first start with our case view. This is something that those of you who are already using zAgileConnect, I mean, you'll be familiar with this UI. There's some subtle changes here, but everything else is the same as it's always been. You can create issues, you can link to an existing issue, you can view suggested issues. The way this has been implemented, this is a search in Jira, and it will take the case subject and automatically find some related issues associated with it. You can also provide any other search string you want if you're looking for something specific in Jira that you may want to link to this case. This is just part of ongoing investigation to see if there's already something that exists out there that may be relevant rather than creating a new Jira issue associated with this case. And then, of course, you're seeing that this case is associated with 2 issues, and reflecting our many-to-many relationship support. But what's changed here now is that there is a little icon here that for administrators, they can actually control, or they can configure this particular page in terms of what fields they want to show. Right here. Previously, this was done as part of the zAgileConnect configuration, but now you can configure it right on the page. Not only that, you can also select which field from this particular object can be used to perform the search. So here we have selected case subject to perform the search. So that means that when we click on view suggested issues, it will take case subject and then give us some matching Jira issues. It'll give us the top 10. And the other thing I'll also point out is now we're supporting pagination. So we won't, not only do we return the top 10 searches, but you can continue to paginate down and get 10 more and so on. So this was an important addition, enhancement, because it needed to be there to support other objects, because this view, in terms of what fields are shown here within the context of a case, is going to be very different when you're going to integrate Jira issue to an opportunity or some other custom object. So now, depending upon whatever custom object that you are, or whatever object you're integrating the Jira issue with, you can select the issue fields that you want to see there, as well as you can select what field you want to use for performing the search in Jira. So now let's move to a custom object. So as I mentioned earlier, we've created a custom object just for the demo called a CSR. And so now you can see the same view, basically. You can create a new issue, link existing view suggested issues, find, and then you also see this. So here again, you'll be able to configure what fields you want to be able to see in the context of this object for the issue, and which field, like CSR number, let's say that we can select this to say this is what we're going to use to actually do the search. So now if I click on view suggested issues here, it will use the CSR number to perform a search in Jira. And then I'll just go through and do some additional creation here. So I'll walk you through the standard functionality that we've provided with case in the past. It works the same way here. So if I'm going to create an issue, then a summary, let's say that summary is automatically mapped from an existing field within CSR. The description is mapped, although there was nothing there, so we're just going to add some description text here. So you still see the same quick create screen, which basically comprises of fields that are mapped and fields that are required. So those are the ones that will always be available when you're initially wanting to create an issue from any Salesforce object. And then you also have additional fields that can be available depending upon what other fields are defined for that issue within Jira for creation. So let's just use the default values and create an issue. And so now you can see 2 different issues associated with this CSR, both of them created from here. Okay, so dev23 that we just created and CCR. And of course, all the other functionality still exists, where we can view the issue details. You can also see here, for example, this is also configurable, by the way, in 110 and 111, where you'll be able to control what you want to show, that is relevant to each object that the issue is related to. So if you are in Salesforce and you're looking at issue details, it will tell you if that issue is also associated with other objects. And for each object, you can then define which fields you want to show, just in terms of providing the appropriate context. So here we're looking at an issue detail within Salesforce, and of course we can go to that issue in Jira, and you'll see the CSR, fields that are relevant to CSR showing up here. Okay. So, and now I'm gonna move to, let's actually go back to case and link this issue to case. So, because what I want to show you is the many-to-many relationship here. So here now you've got three issues associated with the case. And since we have linked the issue in Jira, this issue that we just created also to the case, so you'll start to see the context in real time. So now you can, if you're working in Jira, you'll see that now there are two potential constituents or stakeholders that are interested in this issue. So one of them is a case, the other is a CSR. So depending upon the different objects that you associate with the issue, the appropriate fields that are mapped to display within the context of the issue will be shown here. So because each object has its own set of attributes and characteristics, so we're making sure that each one is represented uniquely within this related list. Now, the other thing also is that you start to want to collaborate, means that you want to send comments and attachments to these objects. So the actual identification of these objects in Salesforce is going to be different. So in order to support that, what we've done is to provide a UI for it, where you can click on that icon if you want to post comments. So here we can just say comment to CSR, because that's what has been selected here. If we want to select both objects, for example, we also want to send the comment to case, it will show there. But in this case, we only want to send it to a CSR, then we'll post it. And depending upon whether the CSR has support for comments or feeds, it will show up appropriately. So here, let me see if we do actually, it doesn't. So there you go. So here it will send it to the feed. So here you'll see comment to CSR with an ID and then the issue that it came from and the user that was logged in. So that allows you to collaborate with different teams within Salesforce from Jira based on whatever objects that are selected, because opportunities obviously is going to be driven by sales teams or sales engineering teams. CSR could be also related to support, for example. So, and case obviously is customer support. So depending upon whichever team that is, interested in that particular issue, there are different mechanisms for, for collaborating with them. And the same thing when you're sending attachments to them also. So if the issue had any attachments associated with it, you would see an icon, against each one of these rows, which will allow you to send attachments specifically to that object. So basically what we've shown you so far is the many-to-many relationship and the creation. So you can see a custom object here. You can see the fact that the UI now is consistent regardless of whether you're in case or CS or custom object, or shortly we'll show you also the same thing in opportunity. And also you will see the relationships that are mapped. So if you're looking at Dev 23, for example, within Salesforce, you will see that it has association to a CSR and it also has association to a case. And the fields are reflected appropriately depending upon whatever the object is and what has been configured for it. And it could also be associated with an opportunity, for example, and then you would see all three of them. And then when you go to Jira, you'll see the corresponding relationships on both sides. More than that, actually, the other thing I also want to point out before I leave this topic is the details. So in the past, you were able to see a pop-up that showed you a case detail view. And here, this is all, of course, configurable. So within Salesforce package, you will make a determination of which fields you want to show to Jira users that are relevant to them as they're working on that particular issue. So here, there's some information about CSR details, the account and owner that we have configured. But you can also enable additional tabs like attachments and feeds, for example. So this is optional and it's configurable in Jira. And once you configure it, you can then control, you can say like, okay, we want to share feeds also because that may be relevant to Jira users who are working on the issue. Perhaps the feed has some history that is relevant for their investigation. So this, the same capability that you've seen in the context of case is available also with other objects. So now I'm going to actually turn to Lightning UI. And so let's go into change the, switch to Lightning Experience. And here I will go to an opportunity. So you've seen this view, you've seen the support for Jira Issue integration with a custom object, which is a CSR, and you've seen it with case, which we've always had. So now you can also see the same for opportunity, which is a standard object. But we're showing you this in Lightning because now you can see not only support for Jira issue creation and Jira issue integration with opportunity, but also all of the capabilities that come with it. So in Lightning UI, you can configure it. For example, here we have it as part of this tab, just for convenience. And you'll see the same behavior. You can create a new issue. You can link to an existing Jira issue. So for example, we can just take the same issue that we have created earlier, and we can link it now to an opportunity. And if you were to go into Jira and take a look at that issue, you would expect to see now also an opportunity associated with it and the appropriate fields that correspond to opportunity. So you can, so as I said, you can create new, you can link to, you can also view suggested. And again, we have the settings option, which will allow you to select which issue fields you want to show within the context of opportunity or whatever that might be relevant here, but also the search field. So here, opportunity name is configured for search so that if we were to perform a search, like if I say view suggested, it will use the opportunity name to go find me related Jira issues. And of course, it finds this because that was created from this opportunity. And then we also have this additional options here, refresh, settings you've already seen, unlink and delete. So you can also, of course, if it's not relevant, you can go ahead and unlink this issue because it was done perhaps in error. It's no longer relevant. So now your relationship here is only with this. And if you were to go back to this issue, you would see the relationship to opportunity disappear. And now it's back to the two objects where we had started with. So that's the Lightning UI. I mean, there's a number of different ways of configuring it because of the flexibility that Lightning provides, and whether you want it here, here. You can also configure a related list, for example, so that you can see some aspect of the issue in an abbreviated manner on the side. But obviously, the fully functional page is the most effective one, because it gives you capabilities across the board in terms of creating issues, linking, finding, and so on. So that's basically our Lightning UI. Now, before leaving this, then the last item that I wanted to also talk about was the support for API. So we've set this up, as I had mentioned earlier, to show you basically the issue creation. So actually, let me see if I can start with a different issue here. Sorry. These ones look like, okay, this looks good. So let's start here. And what we want to show you is the process builder example. So as I said earlier, the example that we have set up, a very simple example, is an opportunity that is in trial stage. An issue is created, and the fields, the project and the issue type that we have configured for it. And of course, we're also passing, using Process Builder, we're passing the opportunity ID. So the issue is automatically linked to the opportunity. So here, what we're going to do is mark this stage as completed. So this opportunity has no Jira issue associated with it because it's prospecting stage, right? So we mark the issue as completed. Now, as we do that, this opportunity transitions to trial. And at this point, if you were to go into the opportunity, you would see a Jira issue created, right? Just like we had talked about. So we can now go to this issue and take a look at it in Jira. Again, to emphasize, this is automatically created. So this is just happening in the background while you're performing transitions to objects within Salesforce. But if you go to the opportunity in Jira, you'll see the relevant link here. Now, from Jira, then you can, of course, create similar transitions and exchanging messages. So here, we're going to mark this as done because it was about creating a trial environment for this particular opportunity. So what we're going to do is just say, okay, we'll populate it with a URL that we've created for the trial instance. And we will also, using hashtag Salesforce, send a message back to the opportunity to say the trial instance is ready. So now the issue is marked in done stage, okay? If you are an opportunity, let's go back. And you go to the feed. So we'll see that message here, trial instance is ready. And this is from the issue. And as I said before, the user in Jira that was logged in. So the message or the comment from Jira has been posted as part of transitioning that issue. And finally, so this basically reflects the API usage through Process Builder. Opportunity in this stage automatically creates an issue and associates it with an opportunity. And so it's calling the API, which is for issue creation. But as I mentioned earlier, we also support API for sending attachments, comments, and so on. So we have an example of that also where once an opportunity is closed, a comment is posted to this related issue in Jira, suggesting that opportunity is closed so that whomever is working on it is aware. So that's just a simple example of that. So let's mark this stage as completed, and actually we'll just close it and call it closed one. So once we do this, you will expect that a comment will have been posted in Jira Issue to indicate that. And here you see the comment, opportunities closed, final stage, closed one. So that's an example again of calling an API. This one used the trigger to achieve that. And the first one used Process Builder. So basically, just to summarize, what we've shown you are three of the major things that we have either released recently or we're about to. The first more significant one is the integration with other objects. The second, support for Lightning, which a lot of our customers are now moving to. And then finally, the API support, which is available already, and we have now enhanced it to support issue transitions. And I'll also actually just show you that really quick in terms of a separate demo here that we have set up to show issue transition. And this is, again, a simple one, but we've had many of our customers ask for this also. So we're looking at a case, although it will apply to any Salesforce object that has associated Jira issue. But here, if we take the case and set it to closed status, then the issue will also be marked as closed or done, depending upon its transition. So here, when the case is closed, if we were to refresh the Jira issue, it will be marked done and resolved. So that's the last bit of this demo, and something that we are about to release in 1.11. So let's see. So finally, zAgileConnect is available, let's see, for Jira Cloud and Jira Server. And it comprises of two components. One is the Salesforce package, the other is Jira add-on. And so Salesforce package you can get on AppExchange, and the Jira add-on, depending upon whether you have Jira Cloud or Jira Server, is available from the Atlassian Marketplace. We also support Jira Data Center, as I mentioned earlier, although Jira Data Center add-on is available directly from zAgile because it's licensed differently than the other Jira add-ons. And finally, it's available for test drive, 30-day evaluation, and for pricing and purchasing, please contact us at sales@zagile.com.